Well, hi there, I'm Noah Bradley. This is Handmade House TV, and on this week's episode we're going to talk about trees. So stay tuned. Well, welcome back to Handmade House TV, and this week I thought we'd talk a little bit about trees, and I actually have a few thoughts to share with you with regard to that. But first of all, I wanted to point out to you that I'm sitting on a different porch of my home today. I'm not back on the back screen porch where the logs are behind me because there's a bird building its nest out there, and it was less than pleased with my presence on the porch, and I thought that background noise would probably be a distraction to you with the bird yelling at me throughout the entire episode. So today I'm on my other porch, and behind me here is the large stones of one of my stone chimneys on my house. And I thought I'd point out to you something that once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. But nonetheless, I thought it was a pretty cool feature, and that is that there's a couple of carved X's here on it, spanning from one stone to the other. And I didn't create those. I bought the stones that I used on this particular home. Actually, I found it on eBay, and the stones came out of Pennsylvania off of a bridge abutment that was there that was taken down. It's a shame that such a massive structure that was created with human ingenuity and horsepower, real horsepower, back in the 1800s had to be taken down. But anyway, I had the stones delivered, a section of the stones, clearly not all the stones in the entire bridge, but enough that I could use on my own home here. And of all things, we happened to find both of them in separate piles that actually match together. And I have no idea why the number 20 or a double X was created. There's enough space that another one should have been in if it was some kind of date, but nonetheless there's double X for you to look at. So anyway, back to the subject. We want to talk about trees today. Several different ideas with regard to them. First of all, I still get a lot of emails with people telling me that what's the best source of wood to use for their particular project, and that they have a choice of this wood, or this wood. And I've created videos before where I've shared with you that there is no single best species of wood for your project, that each species of wood offers its pros and cons to work with. So I never can recommend to you the best wood for anything, because there is no single best wood. What I do recommend is that regardless of the species of trees that you have available for your log cabin or your timber frame or your paneling, that you choose the one that offers it's most local to you, and that is of the highest quality, that is long, clear, not free, not twisted, and in wide selections as well. And you can't go wrong with that. In order to create this video, I wanted to walk around my property and stand in front of my favorite tree on my entire property. And I ended up making it a nice casual walk across the whole property, and I came up with about 15 different trees, about 8 different species, and I could never decide which of those trees I even wanted to stand in front of in order to create this video. So clearly I have no favorites, and I can't offer you a favorite as well. The second point I wanted to make about trees is that a couple of days ago I was at the local gas station, and while I was there, in pulled this long trailer pulled behind a nice diesel pickup truck, and it was loaded with fabricated, engineered trusses and I-beams to be used on I'm sure some local home being constructed here. And I personally avoid using these as much as possible. I think in all of the homes I've ever built that I've only used these things once, maybe twice, but only once that I recall. And for a variety of reasons, I don't care for lumber having to be manufactured for good trees to be chewed up into pulp and then glued back together. I have a neighbor that works for the local fire department, and he said that homes that they know that are built of these structures, they wouldn't consider entering if they were on fire, because once they start, they burn fast, and that people can fall through at any particular moment. Whereas if you have real wood in a structure, they're fairly confident that it will hold together long enough for them to put the fire out. But that's I'm getting off topic there. What I want to emphasize to you is that there has been human beings and trees have occupied this planet for a long time. There's a connection between us and trees. I'm a tree hugger. I'm also a tree sawyer. But nonetheless, I have a strong connection with trees. They are our original and best materials to use in constructing our home. They have a lot to share with us. They have a lot to teach us. And throughout history, mankind has worked with trees in order to create the structures that he has. And that wood offers us so many benefits, and it also offers us so many limitations. There are only wood will only carry such a load at such a size, and before long it's incapable of doing that. So it restricts us, it keeps us in boundaries, and these boundaries are natural boundaries. That the homes created with natural lumber restrict us to creating homes of the most aesthetic, natural proportions. And by us moving into an era where we have created engineered products, our homes have lost the aesthetic appeal, the naturalness of it, the handmade charm of it. And you can't deny that there's a transition period between when any home that built was attractive to the fact that very rarely today are homes really eye-appealing or really comfortable and attractive. And so even if you decide that you don't want to build of natural wood, you want to use these engineered products, it's a good idea that when you're building your house, when you're designing your house, is that you keep to the restrictions of what natural wood imposed upon us so that you can create a natural home. Okay, I hope that makes sense. The next point that I wanted to make is that I get a lot of questions from folks that purchase a piece of land and they want to use their trees for the material for their future home. There's obviously cost savings in using your own trees, and that can justify part of the purchase price of a parcel of land if you use your own trees in order to build your own house. And so I do have quite a few people that get in touch with me with regard to I have a choice between this tree and this tree on my property. Which do you think I should use? And of course, I don't make recommendations on which trees to use, but I do come back with just a thought for you, and that is that regardless of the area you live in, there are plenty of other people who are selling their trees, who are cutting the timbers on their property in order for the money, for the income that comes into it, or else perhaps they bought a wooded parcel and they're subdividing it into lots or whatever, and so there's a lot of trees. The sawmills are constantly having a flow of material come through there. And so I encourage people to at least consider the path that I do, and that is that when I buy a wooded parcel of land, rather than harvesting the trees that are on my own property for use on my own structure, I prefer to keep my own trees to as long as I can and as much as I can. I would rather have trees on my own property than I would rather have dollars in a bank account. That they are those, all that wood is there for me to enjoy in its natural state and living and being a tree that is growing in size and in value every year. That is providing the wildlife on my property with flowers for the honeybees and acorns for the wildlife that lives below the trees. And that material will be there if I ever need to use it, but nonetheless, lumber in its raw form, in its log form, is relatively inexpensive. And so consider the option, if you own your own piece of land, of using someone else's trees and not your own, and keeping yours for that future occasion where you or your children might have need for it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If got some wildlife flying by today. As a matter of fact, I created a video of distractions in video creation. Maybe I'll show that at the end of this video. Anyway, if you enjoy this video, you'll be absolutely crazy about what is within the Handmade House Guild. Hours and hours of me sharing with you thoughts and inspiration. Please come consider us signing up to the Guild. I would like to thank 5 new members of the Guild. They are Tommy Divig, Nathan Marinci, Nathan Marinci, Ruben De Silva, and Graham Young. Guys, thank you so much for enrolling in the Guild and for all your kind words with regard to it. Look forward to seeing you next week here on Handmade House TV. Bye now.